Okay, great. Thank you for coming. So today I'm going to talk about the about next year. We're super excited. We're not making any major changes. So I just wanted to get an opportunity to chat about the small changes that we're going to be making. And they're all really positive. So hopefully you feel good about them and I can answer questions if you have them. So we decided we're on college campuses. All of our sites are on college campuses. And so we really want to encourage students to take college classes. The whole district is moving toward academic growth. So focusing on academic growth, which we always are, but it's a specific goal for next year. And so we're also in support of that. We're going to kind of have two tracks for students. Either students are first year freshmen or new students in which they're going to be preparing to take college classes. And then we'll work on those foundational project-based learning skills, or they're going to be taking college classes. So they'll be enrolled in ASU classes and they're working on strengthening those project-based learning skills. So it's really not going to change a lot for most students that are already taking college classes, but we're really emphasizing preparing students for college classes. The biggest feedback we've gotten is we really want students to take college classes, but you're not really doing anything to prepare them for that. So that is kind of where this has come from. So we're going to continue doing the projects as we have been, but we're going to have a focus on college preparedness. So this might be like note taking, research, just learning basic skills that students need to be successful in college, time management, all those kinds of things. We'll still be doing the same focuses. So you are all from Mesa. They'll still be doing films. They'll still be focusing on projects. This will just be what they're doing along with that. How do we know if this is a good fit? So we want students who are motivated to grow in these ways. So again, you guys have your students are so motivated, they're doing well. So we want students who are independent learners, college bound, they're curious, academically driven, open to building new relationships with peers, making friends, responsible and self-driven. So those are really the kind of students that we're looking for. Really independent learners are what we're focusing on. So what is expected? We want students to enroll in a college class within the first year. That could be a ULC class, which is I can never say this, universal learning class, an online class or an in-person class. So universal learning classes are classes that they're online classes, they're ASU classes that a student takes. And there's a small fee in the beginning of the class. I think it's like $40 that ASU Prep pays. And at the end of the class, your student decides whether or not they want to apply those credits toward their transcript. If they decide they get a grade enough that a grade that they're happy with, they can apply it to their transcript, and then ASU Prep pays for those credits. So it's kind of a no-risk way to start taking college classes, because if they don't get the grade that they'd like, they can just say they don't want it on their transcript. Then those credits will apply towards their high school classes, but it won't apply on their transcript. The second way is an online class, which I think most of your children are taking currently, an ASU online class or an in-person class. Mesa Mix Center is offering the problem with Mesa in particular, and I know you've heard me say this before, is that it's mostly juniors and senior level classes. So they don't offer a lot of options, but we would like students to be taking either ULC classes or online classes. We also want students to take 1 to 2 classes each semester so we can kind of build up those credits as we move through high school. And then by the end, we would like every student to have completed 12 college credits by graduation. So those numbers purposely kind of don't match. If you take 1 to 2 every semester, you'll have much more credit than that. But we have students who are juniors and seniors, and may have not started college classes. So we want to set a realistic goal for those students. And then we also want students to maintain a minimum 2.5 GPA. That GPA, the grade point average, is mostly A's and B's. That's the GPA you need to be able to take a college class. And so that's why we set it at that number. Current students. So it's going to look a little different. So we are not accepting students that are new unless they have that GPA. But for current students, we're going to grandfather in students who do not have a 2.5 GPA as long as they are showing improvement in their grades. So if a student doesn't have a 2.5, it doesn't mean we're going to grandfather them in. They can return to the program, but we will have a meeting. If they're well below a 2.5, then I'd like to meet with those families before we re-enroll them, because we're really aiming to have a college prep program and we want to make sure that they're prepared and they're in the right they're in the right situation with us. But if they have if they're well within range of a 2.5, then we'll just grandfather them in. But the goal is to improve those grades. We want every student to have the ability to go to college. And I talk to kids a lot about this because sometimes kids are like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't need to go to college. My uncle is a millionaire and he didn't go to college. And I'm like, that's great. That's really awesome. However, what I would like is for you to have the option to go to college. I want you to have the opportunity to go to college. We don't want you to finish high school and then want to go to college and you can't do it. So we really want them to take college classes. Maybe they're not college-bound students, which is great. If you're an electrician or a welder, you probably make more money than I do in academia. And those are great jobs too. But we are an ASU school, so we really want students to have the goal of going to college, and we're going to support that while they're with us in our program at Digital Plus. If their GPA does not improve to a 2.5 by the end of next school year, so we've grandfathered them in, their grades have gone down or they haven't improved to a 2.5, then they may not be able to re-enroll. So that would definitely be a meeting with me or with Dr. Zobitz, and then we would talk about those options. I have every faith that every student in our program can earn a 2.5 or higher. If a current student's GPA is well below a 2.5, so we have not many, but a couple students who have like a 0.5, I'm going to meet with those families prior to re-enrolling. We just want to make sure it's a good fit. As you know, it's quite a commitment to be in our program. That makes, students they're online working in digital coursework about 2 hours a day. So a student who's not achieving the bare minimum of a 2.5, maybe it isn't the best fit for them to be in our program next year. So I will have those conversations outside of in probably several weeks if your student is in this position where they're well below a 2.5. So we also we're going to have experiences. They're going to be on Fridays. We're working on those topics right now. As you can imagine, there's so many moving pieces with these experiences. But we are only allowing one day on campuses. We are only allowing students to have one day only on campus in an experience. So if your student only wants to be with us one day, they have to do an experience. No longer are we allowing students just to attend one day, Monday through Thursday. Why? It's so confusing for the teachers. Number one. Number two, students who are only attending one day were really struggling to make connections with their peers because they were kind of all over the place. They might be here in Tempe on one day and here in Mesa on another day. So students will still have the ability to take Digital Plus and then add an experience, but they have to then do 3 days. So we're moving away from one day unless it's an experience. So for example, if your student wants one day on campus, that would be a Friday. We are still working on those opportunities right now. We should have those probably by, I would say, May at the latest. But those opportunities, I'll release those to you as soon as we have them. So if they want one day, it's an experience. If they want 2 days, they would come to Digital Plus, just like your students are now, and they would come 2 days. And if they want 3 days, they can do 2 days plus an experience. So we're really moving away from we gave a lot of choice this past year. And as you know, at Mesa, we kind of reworked it because it just wasn't working out. So we're really good at changing. We want to adjust and do what's best for students. And I think this is going to kind of help students acclimate who are maybe struggling a little bit from not being on campus as frequently as we would like. So the most exciting thing we're doing is we're opening a new site. It's called The Hive. It's at a place called the Envision Center in Tempe, which is it's on Apache. It is, if you know where the first Pita Jungle is, it's right across the way from that area. There's a place called Mango Rabbit. It's like right in the middle of Tempe. It's very cool. It's focused on digital inclusion. They have these people called guides, and they're like local experts who come in and work with students and work with people to teach them how to use the equipment. They have podcasting, they have animation and VR. It's super cool. You can see kind of a blurry image in the background. We're going to offer some tours in the upcoming weeks. I'll let you know when those are happening. We'll likely have one in April, May, June, and July. The students will be learning from local experts, and I did include the IDIA, which is the actual, can you see that website when I pull it up? This is the website.
Yeah.
Okay, great. They're the IDIA is the institution that runs it. It's a nonprofit. The hive that we're going to be at is owned by the or run by the city of Tempe. It's very cool. So it's all these learning opportunities for students. They bring in these experts. It's super duper cool. We're so excited about it. So you'll have to come check out that space. The plan right now is to do a 2-day at IDIA as well as an experience. So if your students at Mesa and they want to stay at Mesa, they could add on the experience and do that if they would like. I'll let you know more about the experiences though in the upcoming weeks. So the changes in a nutshell are, hold on, let me move. Um, Number one, we're focusing on college prep for all students. Number two, the only 1 day we'll have available is going to be the experiences. Number three, we're adding a new site at Envision Center in Tempe. We are also really buckling down about attendance, which I didn't have a slide for, but we have students who are really frequently absent. In fact, we ran a report the other day. We have students who are absent up to 20% of the time. Learning in a group is just really untenable when you're absent 1 out of 5 days. It's just really tough on the students. It's really a student issue, not necessarily a teacher issue, where if you're working in a group, you're unable to work with that group if you're never there. We also get feedback that students are not able to make connections if they're not there. And I tell adults, it's just like if you have a friend who goes through a life change and you never see them, you're not going to be as close with them. It's really tough to make connections when you're absent. So we really are going to encourage students to only miss 5 unexcused days. Now, if you have a chronic illness or something like that, I'm not talking about that, but we're talking about kids who are kind of like, I don't feel like going, mom. I want to stay home. Those kinds of things. We want to move away from that. 5 a year is not that off. You're only there 2 days a week. 5 is like a lot. So if you have travel and things like that, I'm not really talking about that either. I'm more specifically talking about it's more students who are just like, I'm tired. I don't want to go to school. If they're individual situations or your child has to be absent, we can have those conversations. But it's really like I was there today at Mesa, and out of like 50 students, and there's also a lot of tardiness. And I know that there's issues that getting kids to school it can be tough, but it's really hard to have learning happen when there's a lot of students absent and tardy. So we don't want to be punitive. But today I walked in at 9 o'clock, and out of 50 kids at Tempe, there was 17 in the room. So I think people are really just being kind of late. There ended up being a whole lot more, don't get me wrong, but we really want kids to be on time and ready to learn at 9 o'clock. And then experiences locations will be to be determined. We're working with partnerships. We're doing a couple really cool things. One is working with we have 2 opportunities where we might partner with local corporations and do experiences on site, which would be super cool. So we're actually making those partnerships. We've already made the partnerships. We're working on the final things like the paperwork kind of piece of that. But as soon as we have that solidified, I will let you know the minute I know. Um, so, so next steps. So I think all of you have already re-enrolled, which is great. Thank you for doing that. So I don't know if you need this. If you didn't fill out the form, you need to, but like I said, I think all of you have this form that's just the re-enrollment form. So it's kind of a 2-step process. Just because you met with your LSC does not mean you're re-enrolled. There is a separate form which is connected here that you must complete to secure your space. We have to know you're coming. So please fill out this form if you haven't done so already. And then you're going to tell your LSC not only that you want to return, but you'll discuss your college option with your LSC. If you are not returning, it's very sad. We would like to know more about that, like why you aren't returning. Please email me directly and I'll send you an exit survey. So I won't make you feel bad, I promise, but we do want to feedback because our constant goal is receiving feedback from our community and then adjusting, within the context of what we can do. And then I just added a couple things. We have a survey that we'd like every parent to complete. I'll send this via email as well, but it's attached here. I'll send the PowerPoint out. This is also another image of IDIA, which it looks kind of fuzzy on my computer, but it's such a cool space. It looks like a Google workspace. And then So that if you could fill out that survey, and then I'll send individual ones for the teachers as well, but I just thought I'd get this out on this slide deck. And then last but not least, if your child is in 9th or 11th grade, you should have received multiple emails about testing. I have sent them. You should have gotten them from LSCs. They've come from the testing department. We do not have class next week due to testing. So Monday through Thursday, we will not have typical class. If your child is testing, please read the email in its entirety. It will tell you where to go, what you need to bring. There are certain lunch requirements. Students will not be allowed to be on their phones during testing at all. So please don't text them, but they will not have access to that. So once they're done with testing, they can text you and then you can come pick them up. But please read those emails in their entirety. And I think that is it. So I'm going to stop sharing. I am actually going to, let me see if I can pause this recording as well. Okay, I'm going to pause that.